Hi there. Let's talk a little bit about the final opera in our 2013 season, Giuseppe Verdi's Aida. This is one of the standard operas in the repertoire, an opera that everyone wants to see at least once in their lives, like Bizet's Carmen, and that most audiences want to see over and over again and probably for all the wrong reasons. What does everyone wait to see and hear? The Triumphal March in Act 2, because everyone knows the tune and everyone expects animals. Yes, animals. You've heard all the stories of elephants, giraffes, and camels coming on stage during this scene, which makes it even more spectacular than it actually is. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, Virginia, but that rarely happens anymore, and when it does happen, it's at a large outdoor venue or amphitheater that has the space to include such a menagerie. It almost never happens in a theater anymore. Insurance costs and, well, cleanup just make it impractical. Well, yes, Aida is a spectacular opera. That's one of the things that Verdi remembered about opera since its very invention in the 17th century. Opera must have spectacle, but it also must have great music and great drama. Throughout Verdi's career, he tried to make opera more and more realistic, less artificial. And Aida, being one of his last three operas, is the result of a lifetime in the theater, honing dramatic characters, making them more real, more three-dimensional, more exciting for the opera audience. Aida was a commission from the Khedive of Egypt for his new Cairo Opera House, and it received its world premiere there in 1871 after a delay of some time because the sets which had been built in Paris were stuck there due to the Franco-Prussian War. Verdi didn't go to the premiere, but it was repeated the following year at La Scala in Milan, with the composer very much up to his neck in details and rehearsals with the singers. The first thing that strikes me about Aida is involved with the very first thing that you hear before the curtain goes up. The prelude. It begins with a melody from high violins that softly winds around in a snaky circular fashion. The first time I heard this prelude, I was mystified by it. I didn't know what it meant or what it was trying to communicate. It just seemed strange. And it is strange. Those violins are up in the stratosphere, naked, with no accompaniment from any other instruments of the orchestra. We're told that the tune, which recurs often in the opera, represents Aida herself. That may be true, but I think it's also an introduction to the period in which the opera is set. It seems to accompany the opening of an historic aperture, taking us back thousands of years, placing us, the audience, in a completely foreign time and place. Verdi does something similar at the top of Act 3, where he tries quite successfully to portray moonlight, the night on the banks of the Nile River, with just a touch of exoticism to place us in ancient Egypt. These were the sorts of orchestral touches that were typical of French grand opera, and indeed, Verdi was trying to bring some of the well-worn tricks of that form into Italian opera to give Italian opera new life. One thing that he did in this opera certainly was to stretch the boundaries of the operatic voice. Each of the principal roles in Aida is filled with remarkable challenges, from an opening aria for the tenor that gives him no time to warm up and ends up with one of the most difficult passages for that voice type in all opera. To a role for soprano that spans the lyric voice to the dramatic voice and everything in between. To huge ensembles generated to create a thrilling feeling from everyone in the theater. Aida is one of those operas that's got everything. It's intimate as well as gigantic, dramatic, and lyrical. It's an experience that, if you've not seen it, you can't pass up this opportunity to go. I'm Nick Ravellis. I'll see you at the opera.